everyone. Thank you for joining. This is a new thing that we're starting to do. We haven't done webinars before, but we have noticed that it's basically a necessity nowadays with tech and AI moving so quickly. Even it's difficult to keep up, even for us. Um, and of course, even harder to keep up for our clients. So we decided to do this so that our customers can benefit from what we know. And please look at this as a tool, not just for management and owners. Send your employees here, have them attend these. We hope to do them every month, maybe every 6 weeks. We'll see how we can make it. But I think it's beneficial to send as many people as possible. Whoever uses AI in your organization could probably benefit. But let's jump into it. If you have any questions, you can ask it in the, there's a tool somewhere here in the Zoom to ask those
Yep,
questions.
there's a
And
Q&A at
Julie,
the bottom.
yeah,
Perfect.
Julie will assist with those. We'll collect those unless they're like require immediate answer. We'll answer them at the end, which takes me to the agenda. So what we'll do is we'll first go through a quick update on the news, what's going on in the world, and we'll just take a look at a couple of news articles that came out in March. Then we'll go into the meat of it and talk about prompting and some tips and tricks for that, and then we'll go into Q&A. So it's very simple, nothing special. Dmitry will be helping with news, and so Dmitry is our technical expert. Let's go into it. So one of, I guess, important things that happen is Apple Market MCP. Dmitry, can you talk about what is MCP and why is this important?
Thank you, Alec. So the MCP is the Model Context Protocol. What it allows to do is to use natural language to interface with APIs. So imagine, let's say you have some type of third-party system, a SaaS product, or maybe it's your own line of business application that you utilize on a day-to-day basis, and it has API capabilities. Typically, with these softwares, with these solutions that do have API, there is API documentation. Now, if you are looking to communicate with that service via API, you would have to write your own custom API calls in order to retrieve the data, read the data, or write the data back. What MCP allows you to do is use natural language where AI figures out how to make API calls on its own by looking at the API documentation and figuring out how it needs to structure those requests. So as an example, if it's a custom software that you're developing, you have to do everything from scratch, write all the API calls on your own, versus by connecting, if that line of business application or service has an available MCP connector, you can just tie it into Claude or ChatGPT, and then it's ready to go, where you can start asking questions and it'll figure out how to pull the data on its own.
So is this a big thing? Why is this a big deal? Like, are we really shifting from AI just answering our questions to actually doing work for us?
I think so. It makes it easier for somebody who doesn't necessarily have programming or coding knowledge to be able to utilize something like this in order to be able to read or write the data to third-party systems. So, as an example, ChatGPT and Claude, they do have, they currently do have the native Office 365 integration. So this is something that Claude provides with the service, where once you put in your credentials for Microsoft 365, as an example, it establishes the connection to Microsoft, and then you can start uh, asking certain questions, like check my inbox as an example, or can you let me know if there were emails from a certain person, and then it'll utilize that native connector to retrieve the data. Under the hood, that's what this is. It's essentially it's an MCP connector. So we can take other lines of business applications as an example. So there's an MCP connector for HubSpot. If you go ahead and connect that to OpenAI, ChatGPT, or Claude, you can do the same thing where you can ask, hey, how many new leads were
Uh,
entered to HubSpot?
um, Thank you. Thank you for this answer. And I think next slide will actually is a good segue to go to, because you started talking about Microsoft, and Microsoft just released news that they're coming up with a new tool called Cowork. So this is something completely new, never existed before, but this is again the shift from generative AI, where we use Copilot to get answers in our chatbot, to agentic AI, where we'll finally be able to do things, or the system to do things for us. And I mean, it all started probably, as some of you know, with discovery of AI being able to learn and remember what it's learning sometime in December of last year. And that's when OpenClaw was created, which is the what is it called? Open platform. Let me sure I forget the name of the term, but open source platform. And that's where all this agentic AI stuff started coming from. So the next year will look very different from last year. So yeah, can you talk about the co-work, and then we'll move on because we need to get to the demo.
Yep, sounds good. So to me, it sounds like Microsoft is following Anthropic steps, because Anthropic also has Cowork inside of their application. And what it allows you to do is it basically brings the agentic capabilities to the application. As an example, in the past, if you needed ChatGPT or Claude to be able to access certain documents, you either needed to upload them manually by attaching the files, or having a connector established where it's able to pull the data from OneDrive or SharePoint. With Cowork, it's what it brings is the ability to access your local files directly on the computer, where you can set certain tasks and essentially step away from the computer, and it can continue doing certain work on its own. And some of the things that it allows you to do is organize files, build spreadsheets, prepare reports, analyze notes. And all of this happens on the local computer, and the data resides on the local computer as well.
Thank you, Dmitry. Please do ask questions, lots, get them ready for the Q&A session, and when you have to move on. This is the last piece of news. It's not as loud as the previous slides, but it's also important. Can you just do a quick cover of that?
Yeah, I found it very interesting that this is something that Microsoft is rolling out in the platform. But sounds like there's definitely a use case for it, or it's something that has been requested by the user specifically from Microsoft. I'm sure all of you have noticed whenever you're joining Teams meetings or even Zoom meetings, there's these assistants that join on behalf of the user to take notes.
Of the third party, of the other party, you may be talking to a vendor, to a client, and all of a sudden there's AI bot comes in.
Right, right. I guess the concerns there is that if it's not a native integration, like if you're not using Teams to record and transcribe the calls and provide the summary, and you're using a third-party tool, that whatever happens during the meeting, now essentially the data resides on the third-party provider. And with this specific feature, it gives you the ability to automatically detect these type of external AI bots and assistants or note takers from being able to join the meetings and gather the data that may be discussed.
And what's interesting is they're rolling it out as a feature, and it sounds like it should have been done a long time ago. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Dmitry. And at this point, I want to move on to the prompting, talk about that. I'll cover principles real quick, then I'll show some actual, action in ChatGPT.
Perfect. We do have some questions relating to this topic. Do you want to do all the questions at the end, or can we? I know Doug has a few questions.
We can do an answer if you sure.
Yeah,
But I just how much time do we have?
We're only about 15 minutes in.
Okay. All right.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So the first question Doug is asking, what are some concrete examples of Cowork? He said that we use Fathom in MS Teams meeting. Will Microsoft start blocking access to that?
Yeah, I can answer that one. So it's not that it's Microsoft that's going to be blocking those. It's going to be up to the other end users, the other parties, whether they want to prevent AI agents like Fathom from being able to join the meetings. So, like as an example, if we create a meeting invite with the vendor and the vendor joins that call, we are the ones that can dictate whether that note taker can join the meeting and transcribe it. So
We as
uh,
user.
yes, correct. So it is up to the user. I would assume that this could be a global setting as well that can be enabled across the tenant, and it could very well be possible that some organizations will be permanently blocking these third-party AI note takers.
Yeah, that brings up the next question that just came in. They said, is there any concern if we're meeting with sales companies who have like Otter as an example installed? Should we be concerned how they're using our information? Should we ask them to stop? I mean, what would you suggest in that instance?
It it really depends on the nature of the meeting and if what are the like if there are sensitive topics that are being discussed. So for sure, there's certain cases where certain types of calls should not be recorded or transcribed or have any type of AI assistants or note takers present.
To the next slide. For some reason, I can't move to it. There we go. So yeah, primary principles of prompting. A prompt, you basically have to think about describing the environment. so that the machine understands your request to get a good result. Number one thing that I use a lot is assign a role. Act as director of sales, a CFO, a business owner, an expert of writing about something. Or you can even say act as an author of a book or a doctor known publicly, that will get you better results. Obviously, state the actual task. Talk about business context. So what is this for? Like, why are you doing it? Set constraints. Could be budget, timeline, or maybe you're writing to an audience. Attach a file with your audience description if you have a document for that, if you're doing a marketing piece. Specify the output. There's different types of outputs. It could be bullet list, can be a table, can be a document that you can download, and so forth. And ask to verify the results and stress test the answers. So, I mean, number 6 and 7 are not so much environment related, they're more confirmation related. But this is really it. And it really depends how you have your ChatGPT configured and whether you should be using all of this all the time. Because maybe it already has context of who you are and what you do, and maybe you don't need to explain some of these things. But we'll cover it in a second. Also, from other general tips, you can also think of it as give it 5 W's. The what, the when, why, and so forth. That'll put you basically in this categories right here. Just remember to do the number 1, act as. You can use based on the first principles to make it think through it more. Or you can play devil's advocate or have it play as devil's advocate, literally just copy and paste in this and it'll do it for you. You can ask it to provide reference information. And finally, I'll also display demo it. Use Canvas format. Use Canvas output. It's a very useful feature as well. So at this point, I'll switch to a different view. So this is a blank setup, and it's imagine that you just signed up for the subscription. It's a business subscription. I did create a couple of things in here. Created one GPT. I created a project. But I then reset all memory. I told it to act as new. Let's ask it. There we go. Just knows that I registered as this user and that this workspace is called this. Let's use an example of, let's say we want to do a PTO policy. I'll be copying and pasting stuff to save on time. So it's a simple request. It's not following the best principles or the best practices and principles. It will provide some type of output. But do we know how good it is? Can this be better? I mean, PTO is pretty straightforward. Everybody has a PTO, right? But it doesn't know what company this is. It doesn't know anything about it. So let's try to write it a little bit differently and say, okay, act as a director of HR department of the company SafePoint IT. Very experienced. Create standard operating procedure for employees to follow. So we're following this best practices that I mentioned. So we're asking these questions of act as, what is the task? What are the constraints? all within this one prompt in a simple language. I put in some instruction how I want it to be done. I provided the output request, which it didn't follow. And I tell it, ask questions, do not assume. So it's following, I'm providing the output and talking about the assumptions, number 6. So now it's asking me questions. I mean, you can see them on the screen. I'm not going to read them. So let's get the answers in. Let's say the software is weeks, and it doesn't confuse anything, so I'll give it numbers. Excuse my typos. I'll just answer just to get it done. Oh, so yeah, I did follow my request of output in the Canvas format, which I wanted to talk about specifically. What is Canvas format? This is an editable. I clicked on edit document, so I can modify anything I want, like delete this sentence, and then close it, and it's gone. When I continue working with the document, this document will not have this information. Let's say there's some sections we don't want, but you can see how detailed this is. This is already much more detailed than it was. Let's say we don't want compliance. And close that. Yeah, you can see that it's not here anymore, and it works just fine. But what else we can do with it? We can continue chatting, and we can tell it, okay, we like the document, we edited it, we massaged it enough. Convert to a downloadable Microsoft Word. And it's okay if I make some spelling errors, I see them, you don't understand simple things. And that's it. At this point, you have a downloadable PTO document that you can run with. I'm sure it's not going to have perfect branding, but you can keep on working on it. You can add logo to it. You can adjust fonts. You can do anything you want. You can upload a template for your other SOPs to match it and so forth. So that's pretty much it. Just what I wanted to display is the use of those primary principles of prompting, and also Canvas, which is not very straightforward, but unless you ask it to output in Canvas format, it won't bring it up. So you got to use this specific wording for this editable window come up. But going forward to next slide,
We
covered
did
this.
get one quick question in the chat. They said, what are common things that people are leaving out of prompts that are causing bad results?
Context.
Not enough information. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
Think act as is a very important bullet, and think 5 W's. It's difficult to remember everything in this slide, right? In the slides, but you can remember 5 W's and act as, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, one other thing that I wanted to add is if you don't know how to write a specific prompt, you can also ask ChatGPT or any other AI. Use natural language. Just say like, hey, I don't know how to properly ask you this. Can you give me some suggestions? Or is there any specific information that you need? in order to provide a better output. And it does provide some really good suggestions.
Also, what I wanted to do is I wanted to show, before we jump into master prompts and system prompts, I wanted to show a prompt library. When I say prompt library, it's not really anything complex. It's just a OneNote file from Microsoft where you save your prompts. So in this demo version, you can see there's different sections. We have a section for master prompts. For right now, we just have one master prompt for account manager role. And there's marketing section. There could be sales, finance, whatever it is, topics or departments, that's up to you. But this way, if you save this file in your Microsoft environment, it will be easy to find. It's indexable, and you can search by prompt. You can ask Copilot if we have a prompt for something, and we'll crawl into this file very easily and find if there is. Another advantage of using OneNote is you can have links directly to prompts, and you can reference these links in your documentation, SOPs, whatever you have. So that's a convenient method as well. We just define a simple structure to follow for each prompt. Obviously the purpose, so it's easy for anybody to understand why this is happening, and easy for Copilot that crawls it to understand why this is there. The actual prompt text and the tool, either ChatGPT, Claude, or whatever it is, something basic on how to use it, and maybe a sample output, maybe a screenshot. And that's another advantage of OneNote is you can put text and pictures in here same way, and you can easily format things. For example, and if there's a prompt, for example, and there's an editable text that you want people to change before using the prompt, you can make it yellow color and just reference it in the instructions that you need to replace it. We'll come back to this later. What I wanted to show you is another example of a common mistake that people do. More specifically is kind of what I just did. I had asked it for the policy, then I asked in a different prompt for something else, and I asked something else again for the third time here. Ideally, it should be done differently. Let me show you what I mean. Like, for example, recently I needed to format this call metrics. We have an outbound sales campaign. Hopefully none of you are affected by it. But this is essentially where cold callers are calling. And there's basically, in order for us to achieve the goals that we need, it goes through this process. And I needed to explain this and cover it with my bigger sales team, that going from 50 calls to 2 closed deals a month, it takes 7 conversations, 10 discovery calls, 5 calls, so forth. I wanted to convert it to a better format that we can discuss. So what I did is I said, convert this text into a table. Column 1 should be KPI measured, column 2 should be the period, then 3, I want the percentage, which is the ratio between those metrics, like conversation to call ratio should be 12%, and the description. Here's what we got. And right away, I saw that the percentage didn't come up. I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do? So what I did is I edit the existing prompt. I don't ask it to prompt again. I don't prompt again. I edit the existing prompt. And what I changed is I said, I want column 0. It's just to explain that it should be first. Code sequence, just to see some numbers, that it's a process. And then in column 3, I added this text here, and I renamed the actual column. the result disappeared, as you can see. I'm not, scrolling down. We have new result, but these are not percentages. I see the numbers, the sequence, that's good. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we'll go ahead and make another change of the same prompt. Alt dash, make it a whole percentage format. So I keep refining the same prompt, but you can see that this is 3 of 3. I can go back and see previous results and compare them. Oh, look, my call to discovery calls to conversations ratio is 71%. That doesn't look right. So, and then I realized, because this is different units, days and months, and it's confused. I added another refinement. But you understand the concept. This is basically what I'm trying to explain, that you define the same prompt. This is how it should be. And now you see the discovery calls are 5%, and that's the way it should be. And I did it right here in the prompt. I just explain it in normal, regular language, what I need. Any questions, Julie? We're doing good. Okay. All right. Next concept, master prompt. What is a master prompt? By definition, it's a core instructions that define how AI behaves things, the response across the task or workflow. But in reality, all it is it sets a role. It has rules, constraints, and provides context. Why do we want to use it? To just speed up your work, really. And when do we want to use it? Everybody needs to do it at some point. If you use a chatbot like ChatGPT, Claude, doesn't matter. Even if you're using it for a while, I used it for a very long time. I still did this exercise when I learned about it to make sure ChatGPT understands who I am. So master prompt basically helps to define my role to the AI at hand. Let's make an example. What do I mean by that? Let me copy. So as an example, in demo prompt, in demo prompt library, we have a prompt to create master prompt. And here it will say the purpose of it. Well, I already explained what the purpose is. And the prompt is this, everything up to here. And you can see that in yellow, it says what to replace. And I'll go ahead and do that. New chat. Doesn't matter that it's formatted. The main thing is I work at SafePoint IT. And you remember how you didn't know much about me. We'll ask the question after this. SafePoint IT. Even a website is nicer because it now knows exactly where to get information about your company without guessing. And my role is think about your time. So here, copy and paste it. Business owner, co-founder of SafePoint, oversee finance, sales, marketing departments. Boom. So I just changed those two lines really within the prompt. Prompt to create master prompt. What it does, it starts asking the question one by one because it's by design. After I answer all 10 questions, it says ask me 10 questions at a time. So it's going to ask me, learn more about me in the answers. I came up with real software packages, but not related to us for security reasons, because this video will be recorded in public. What types of decisions? Boom. Lead flow. I like it in concise bullet points. Do not assume, identify risks, ask questions. I want it to be smarter. So I tell it how I want it to behave. Anything. And it creates the summary about everything that it was entered, basically. I'm co-founder, I do this, I use this software, I like the answers this way. And what's important to do at this point is you tell it to future questions. And that's it. Excuse my typing again, but I don't understand what I mean. It updated the memory. This becomes the context of all future responses. Now, if we ask, what do you know about me? This is the same question that I asked before. What do you know about me? There we go. It's a very lengthy list. Instead of Alec and the workspace name, knows exactly what company, what my responsibilities are, what tools I use, my focus, my preferences, and so forth. And what we did in our company, for example, is we created such prompt for every role. Now, when we onboard a new employee and we set up ChatGPT account for them, the first thing we do is we save this prompt, their role prompt, in their ChatGPT and tell it to save it for all future responses. This avoids any hallucinations, it getting used to it and learning about the user. Also, one tip, when you're creating master prompts for your roles in the company, I suggest just copy and pasting the whole job description into this area. So that's pretty much it on the master prompt. Any questions so far? We're doing good? Okay. All right. And System prompt. I'm not even going to try to explain in definition what it means. It's very technical. But in my own words, basically, this is something that you can create and then use to create a consistent output on different topics. I think the best way to explain it is to do a demo of one example. There's somebody from the mortgage industry who replied to me the other day that they're going to be attending. So I used the example of mortgage industry. And I said, as an expert in marketing emails, you will draft a friendly and engaging two-paragraph email to our prospective client about the upcoming Easter holiday. Our target audience is typical for mortgage industry. Not an expert. I don't have more information than that. But this is an example for system prompt. So it gives this output and it says, okay, let's say we don't really like that it's short, we say add another paragraph. Okay, add another paragraph. Okay, what else we don't like? We feel there's got to be a placeholder for an image. So I say insert an image after the paragraph 2. So I'm giving it specific instructions on what to do. And okay, I want a signature, add a signature. Just refine this prompt. With name. There we go. Now, so at this point, we have an email ready to go out to the audience. It's about Easter. It has a first name. It has 3 paragraphs. It has the picture placeholder. It has the signature. And that's it. We send it out, right? Everything is great, except now what we can do is we can save time if you in the future if we don't want to do this whole exercise of chatting again. We can create a system prompt that will contain all of these requests that I gave it and provide the same result immediately. How we're going to do it is I basically said now acting as a system prompt, acting as system prompt writing expert based on this chat that we just did, write a system prompt that would make ChatGPT create the same type of email, but for a different holiday that I request. Be sure for system prompt to ask for the holiday before providing output. So it will ask me a question. Provide in Markdown format that I can easily copy and paste. What is Markdown format? Let's see if it does it, and then I'll tell you what it is, because it would be easier to show. There we go. Markdown format is just, it uses simple characters that are easy to copy and paste, which means when it will take it, this copy anywhere else, it doesn't have bullets, it doesn't have bolded headers and stuff like that. And it's summarized in a nice little box that I can just use copy. Press button to copy. It says there's a stronger version, also makes the output come more consistent here. It's a little longer, but you know what? Let's try this. So let's say Labor Day came. And we just basically pasted this chat, hit enter, and it asks a question. What holiday? Labor Day. That's it. It has all the components we requested. The 3 paragraphs, the image placeholder, and the signature. But look, the first name disappeared. So okay, let's find it. Where can we edit this prompt? Simple language, shouldn't be difficult to do it. Create an email based exact rules, audience, so it talks about structure. Okay, that's exactly where it should go. We'll just say the same way with spaces and to make sure it understands what goes first and next. Greeting with first name. Let's do this again. So I edited the prompt, the system prompt. It asked me the question, Labor Day. Here we go, has the first name. But now you don't need to do this reprompting every time. All you have to do is save this prompt into your marketing section, holiday email, purpose, paste the text in here of the prompt, give it a little bit of extra instructions, copy and paste it, answer the question, review result. And the output, here's a screenshot. That's what it should look like. So anybody else can now use this. And I believe that's pretty much it. Any questions there?
No questions in the chat. I was just gonna say, we've got about 5 minutes left. If anybody has any questions that they want to put in.
Don't forget to subscribe for all the future events. I mean, if you already came to this one, you'll be on the list. We'll reach out to you for the next event when we have the date. This page that's referenced on this QR code, it will have all future dates. We just started. We haven't drafted or planned all dates yet, but it's going to be a single page for all of them. So it's just one page to remember. Give it to your other staff members if you found this session useful. Yeah. The only other thing I can show, since we have a couple of few more minutes, is just other uses of ChatGPT. What I like to use it for example, we have a SafePoint IT playbook. It's a project or like a folder inside ChatGPT. So I just created a new one and I uploaded a bunch of sources to it, which has everything. It has a case study, a pricing guide, some best practices, and mission statements, and target audience, and competitors. But the reason it's nice is because now anybody in my team can go here and find out all the information that I know or marketing team knows. And it becomes a transparent tool for all departments to refer to and be on the same page. Another useful item is GPTs. I don't know how to explain it in a few words because we only have a few minutes. Very powerful tool, but essentially it acts as a system prompt, but in more controlled manner, because you can share your GPTs with other people in the company, and you can prevent them from editing it. And you can also, for example, I have one GPT created called Prompt Optimizer. If we edit it, all it has is a name, description, and instructions. instructions are very similar to a system prompt that you just saw. It's just language that describes how to act. But the reason it's better than more capable than just a system prompt is because it has ability for knowledge files. So you can add your buyer's journey or your historical transactions or any other data as files and refer to them in this instruction. And that's all it takes to create a GPT. And that's pretty much it. I don't have anything else. I hope this was useful and everybody enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. If you do have any questions, feel free to either reach out to me or Alec directly. I know that you guys are going to go home and do some practice. So thank you all.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.